Senator Warnock is next, and then Senator Grassley.
Thank you so very much, Madam Chair. And Dr. Bronaugh, congratulations on your historic nomination to be Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Your resume speaks for itself. Commissioner of Ag for the state of Virginia, State Director of the Farm Service Agency, Dean at Virginia State. You are more than qualified, and you are indeed the right pick for the job. I also appreciate the time that we had the other day discussing some of my priorities ahead of today's hearing. And as you know, I am very pleased to have my emergency relief for Farmers of Color Act included in the American Rescue Plan signed into law by President Biden. This targeted relief, including debt relief on outstanding USDA loans and $1 billion in investments, will help farmers of color recover from the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, while also beginning the long process of addressing years, decades really, of systemic racial discrimination against farmers of color at the hands of their own U.S. Department of Agriculture. Dr. Bronaugh, if confirmed, you and your office will play a critical role in implementing these provisions for farmers of color. Do I have your commitment to work with me and others on the implementation of these provisions?
Senator Warnock, great to see you, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you earlier this week. And, I have talked about the commitment of addressing racial equity. We've lost 90% of Black farmers over the years, and that's a critical loss. And Secretary Vilsack has spoken publicly that he looks forward to me working with him to help address this issue. We have been fortunate to receive funding from the American Rescue Plan, as you noted, to be able to support our farmers and ranchers of color. We are also fortunate that we will have funds to establish an equity commission, which I imagine I will be engaged with, and a racial justice and equity working group who is already identifying gaps and barriers to programs. I would imagine I'll be closely involved with that. And if I have the opportunity to be confirmed, we'll work with members of this committee and our other important stakeholders in the ways that I will be closely engaged in moving forward to address this important issue.
Well, I'm grateful to know that you will ensure that the voices of farmers of color are heard at the highest levels of our U.S. Department of Agriculture. It is something I've also discussed with Secretary Vilsack, and he is very much aware of my concerns there. And it's rooted really in, again, decades of discrimination and deep disappointment, which has led to deep distrust, and understandably so, from farmers of color. And all of this, of course, exacerbated by the pandemic. So as we look ahead, Georgia farmers are seeking guidance from the USDA on the implementation of these provisions. They need guidance on how debt relief will be administered and a better understanding of just how they can provide input in regards to the $1 billion in investments aimed at supporting farmers of color. But a concern that I keep hearing from farmers of color who are, again, encouraged by the legislation, but honestly, they said, Senator, we're worried and we're concerned that we're going to get disappointed again. And they're frustrated in the meantime that their loan payments have not been paused by the USDA as it stands up these programs. They have concerns about engaging with their local farm service agency. Dr. Bronaugh, if confirmed, what is your plan for ensuring that these concerns are being heard and addressed as the USDA works behind the scenes to stand up these programs?
Senator Warnock, you bring up some very salient points, and we talked about this in our phone call, and we have a lot of opportunity. But I think what's very important is, as we have, and I acknowledge the distrust that you stated, because it's important to not talk the talk, but to walk the walk. And so we have received funding again from the American Rescue Plan. And there's something that I learned from our work in extension. There's something called outputs, and there's something called impact. I think going forward, as we work through ensuring that these resources are made available, we have the output, we've gotten the resources, but I think it's going to be important for us to establish a way to measure, to gather the right data to ensure that we're making impact, because the outputs are good, but if we're not making the impact, then we're not reaching the goal. And so being able to ensure that we gather the right data, that we follow up with accountability measures, and we're able to translate that and see the translation into impacts for our farmers of color will be critically important. If I have the opportunity to be confirmed as Deputy Secretary, I imagine that I will be closely engaged in my role with ensuring that we follow those accountability measures and make that impact.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Bronaugh. Again, congratulations on your nomination. I look forward to supporting your confirmation on the floor, and also having you and Secretary Vilsack come to Georgia to engage with farmers of color. Again, thanks.